Oh, it's so beautiful.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing? Good. You're all, I can barely see you. It's kind of got some light shining in my eyes here. Welcome to the Holiday Story Slam. I am Blaine Ross. I work here at the Beaverton City Library. That is Ann LaValle over there. She also works here. We're the co-hosts of the Story Slam. I always talk too much, but I have to say a few things, so I'm just going to get going right away. At least I started on time. So first, I apologize for the lighting situation. We currently only have our theater lights. Our overhead lights work, but they only work full on or full off. So that's why it's kind of dark out there. I have no dimming abilities, and so I did the best I could to kind of balance it. I know it's kind of dark out there, and I apologize for that. And hopefully it's not too bright up here for the tellers, but I can't afford a light guy, so there's nobody back there to lower the lights. So you just have to suffer. The other thing is we do use the microphone. I know it's not a lot of people here, but one of the reasons is sometimes people have hearing issues. The other thing is we are recording this. I have a recording channel on YouTube, and I record, it's actually live streaming right now. Nobody's watching, but we're live streaming. And it also records the show afterwards. So what I usually do is, at some point, I get kind of busy, but I will edit it out and I'll post it on there, and you can go and watch yourself tell your story if you want. And I know some people who came last time really enjoyed being able to do that. In fact, I think that was the most watches I've ever had. I had one person who, her whole family watched it. I had like 20 views in, one day. It was very exciting. The microphone goes, I'll try and adjust the best I can for you. Sometimes I forget, but maybe I should do it. It's kind of hard. I better. Usually not this hard.
Is this being recorded?
This is being recorded, yeah. I love to make a fool of myself. I could take a job of it. Maybe we'll do it this way. I'm hoping that just with the tilt of the microphone, it'll handle most people, because really it's not going up and down. It was earlier. And also the other option, of course, is you can pull the mic out and hold it, which a lot of people like to do. So we'll do the best we can. Okay, so a couple other things. First off, I'm really excited to say we have our lineup for the Art of the Story Festival, which happens in April. It's a big week-long festival. We have usually at least 4 tellers. And this year we have a Native American teller. His name is Kevin Locke, and he's a Native flutist, and he's also a hoop dancer. And he does these amazing shows where he spins hoops, and it's a tradition in their culture to do that. I had no idea, but I watched some videos of him online. He's amazing. He's going to be our headline act. We have another woman named Ingrid Nixon. She's going to be coming down from Seattle. She's traveled all over the world. She does a lot of nature stories and things like that. She's also very good. And we have a couple local tellers. Brianna Barrett, who was Willamette Week's Teller of the Year last year, local teller. She's an amazing woman. And a new guy, he's fairly new on the scene, Norm Brecky, who will be here. We don't have a schedule out yet. It's still way out in advance, but we have a save the date thing, and I have a bunch of those out there. You're welcome to take them and share them with your friends. But mark it on your calendar. It's a really good festival, and the finale is always incredible. All of the tellers are at the finale, and it's on a Saturday, and it'll be April 8th. The kickoff happens right here in this auditorium. It's a story slam. We have, usually it's been 4 tellers. I think that's what it'll be this year. I'm still taking applications. And that is also another really good show. It's people doing just what you're going to be doing tonight. They get up on stage and they tell a story, and then the audience votes, and the winner wins $150. So it's a lot of fun. This will be our 3rd year doing it, and we always had a really good time. So there's a bunch of other flyers out there. We have a lot of adult programming that's going on. In fact, we're conflicting with origami tonight. I'm so sorry about that. There's people up there folding paper, and they don't know what they're missing. So there's a bunch of stuff out there. Take that. I know I'm forgetting lots of things. If you have a cell phone, if you could, silence that, that would be good so it doesn't go off. I think I need to silence mine still. We also have out there, it's just a little half sheet of paper that asks us a couple of quick questions about how you like the program, and we really appreciate it if you fill it out. It also has a spot for you to put down an email on. If you put down your email, I'll put you on the list and I email you about these events. We do about 4 of these a year. The next one's in January, I think it's on the 12th. And this is our first, well actually, we've done a travel theme before. This is our first divergence from that theme. Now we're doing a holiday story theme tonight. And so hopefully everyone fits in that theme. It doesn't have to be Christmas or Thanksgiving, it can be any holiday. If it doesn't, you're not going to be penalized, don't worry. What else? Anne, what am I forgetting? Anne's much younger than me. She remembers things for me. It's very handy at the library.
Celebration.
Oh, right, yeah. Coming up, Celebration is, that is a Portland Storytellers Guild sponsored event. Kim Whitecamp is going to be here. She's told for the festival before, about 4 years ago. She's really good. It's going to be in Multnomah, I think, right, Jackie?
Multnomah Arts Center.
Yeah, Multnomah Arts Center. It's I think it's $20 to get in at the door, $15 in advance. She's also doing a workshop. There's a little flyer out there for that as well if you're interested. Grab one of those.
It's Saturday.
Saturday, yeah, Saturday, what, December something?
No, Saturday.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
No, it's this Saturday.
Saturday in November something.
No, Saturday, November, whatever that is.
19.
19th? Saturday, November 19th, okay. What else am I forgetting? New Year's. Oh yeah, the library. Thanks. We have another librarian tonight, Sarah, one of our children's librarians, so gratefully for me, we have the library's going to be open New Year's Eve for a, what's it called? Loud in the Library. So you can come here and get loud and crazy, and it's like a family-oriented event. No, it's not. No, she's shaking her head no. It's not family-oriented. Sorry, you children out there. But anyway, we have, I think there are flyers for that. I did not bring any down, but there are some upstairs. So if you want to grab those afterwards, they will.
And that's a fundraiser for the library.
Yeah, that's a fundraiser for the library. I talk a lot, but I have a lot of information to get out. Oh, right, okay, so yeah, the rules. Yeah, let's talk about the rules. Oh, I have to know this. Who has not been to one of these before? Who's new here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 new people. Awesome. And so that's really helpful to find out how you heard about that. Did any of you hear, I'm guessing most of you heard about it through the library. Did anyone hear about it like through your city newsletter or on social media?
City newsletter.
City newsletter, anyone else? Just shout out how you heard about it.
I think it's Facebook.
Facebook? Email.
I got invited. It's all her fault.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So drag someone along with you. Awesome. Okay, good. So yeah, if you want to get on the email list, sign up for that. I don't spam you. A few to tell you that. Come on down. Okay, so yeah, the rules. We're going to pull names out of the hat. You have 5 to 8 minutes to tell your story. Anne over there's got a little rattle, and if you get kind of close, like probably around the 7-minute mark, she'll just give it a little gentle shake to let you know you need to wrap it up. We're not going to hook you at 8 minutes. But if you get into the 10-minute mark and you're doing a shaggy dog story and there's no end in sight, she's going to give it a good shake.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's never happened before. We're very shy to shake the rattle. One other quick thing about, we are going to take some photos tonight, and we like to be able to use them in press releases and things like that. So if you don't mind, if you're up here and you tell, if you can just sign up. We may not take a photo of everybody, but if you can sign a photo release afterwards, that would be great. If you don't want to have your photo used as publicity, let us know. Okay, I'm out of breath.
Okay.
And Anne, you want to just pull the first name? You're down there.
Sure.
I have to walk all the way over there.
Let's see. First name is Janice Collins.
Janice Collins. Janice is told before she's a returning teller. Come on up, Janice. I know Janice likes to knock out, so I'm just going to get it out for her.
Too short.
Well, I'm not sure what woke me up first that Christmas night. I don't know whether it was my brother's footsteps outside my room or maybe my own adrenaline. But when I walked into the living room, my brother was standing there, chewing his fingernails and staring at it. Now, Santa, we could see in the dim light, had already arrived with our expected Christmas presents, and that is not what drew our attention. It was a monster. A monster, a gargantuan mass that had spread itself across the living room and was now about 2 feet from where we stood. My brother said, "Geez, it's bigger than it was yesterday. Bigger than last night even." I said, "Yeah, way bigger." I took a step forward to reach out and touch it, and he grabbed my arm and he said, "No, don't. Go back to bed." But I'm getting ahead of myself, because this story really begins in Sweden, not Missoula, Montana, in 1905. A little girl named Anna and her brother Nels were orphans, and they were about to embark on the journey of their lives, a journey across the Atlantic where they would be raised by perfect strangers in America. Anna's destination was Minnesota. She would be raised by an uncle and an aunt who were looking so forward to her arrival, or so she'd been told. When she and Nels arrived in New York, they were met by a man who'd been hired to take them on the cross-country train ride to their destinations. This guy was a flake, and all he did was pin a sign on them with their destinations and left them as they boarded the train. Now, Anna's fate did not improve greatly when she arrived in Minnesota. It seems that the original aunt who so wanted her had died, and her uncle had married another woman who had her own children, and she did not want another one, and she made that quite clear. You might say that Anna's upbringing was a Cinderella story, one without the ball, the glass slipper, or the prince. She was given lots of chores and no love, and every Christmas, the mother would buy, the aunt and mother, would buy lots and lots of presents for all the kids. Everybody except Anna. She was never given a present, except for 1 year. 1 year she was given a little thimble to put on her thumb to help her with the mending that she did for the family. Now, I don't know what she thought when she became a young woman, but I suspect she made a Scarlett O'Hara pledge to herself. "I will never be poor again," she must have said, and she made sure of that. She gave birth to my mother when she was 20, and from the time she was working as a sole cook for 40 men in a logging camp in a Montana mountain, until the time she and her husband ran a mom and pop grocery store in Missoula, she scraped and saved and sacrificed. The woman was cheap. She mended everything. She had holes in her shoes. She mended her sheets, her handkerchiefs, her towels, her socks. She never went to a restaurant unless she was forced to. And if she did, she ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. And I can assure you, she never left a tip. No, that woman was a skinflint. Except when it came to presents. I don't know what she would have thought of Black Friday had she lived to see it. But I can tell you, she could outdo any of those black belt shoppers. She started her Christmas shopping the day after, and I've been told that she was the last person escorted out of the Missoula Mercantile at midnight on Christmas Eve. As a result, we got lots of presents. I mean, lots of presents. My grandfather had to buy industrial rolls of Christmas paper. I'm not kidding. We had an autumn butcher paper roll with a cutter. And he started arriving with the Christmas presents about a week and a half before Christmas. He would come every day in his big blue Buick station wagon filled to the gills with presents. And as a result, our living room, from the far end where the Christmas tree was, began filling with this gargantuan mass of presents, which grew, eating up the living room one bow at a time. So by Christmas morning, you can imagine, this whole room was filled with presents, and the family that gathered to open presents had to start carrying into these gifts at 9 o'clock, and we barely finished, and this was like everybody doing it at once. We never watched each other open the gift, heavens no. And we barely finished by the time, brunch came around at noon. Now, I inherited my grandmother's tight-fisted tendencies, but also her love for buying Christmas presents. So the one person I spent most of my time shopping for was Grandma. I guess I thought in some way that I was paying her back. She was kind of hard to buy for, too. And so every year I bought her a blouse. And every year I tried to buy her a blouse that was just a little better than the year before. So to that end, I would just tear around town, revisiting stores 4 and 5 times, trying to find the perfect blouse. And every year I was quite assured that I had accomplished in buying her a blouse that was a little bit better than the year before. My grandmother died in 1982. And when she died, I flew back to Missouri to go to her funeral and to help my mother clean out her house. One of my tasks was to clean out her bedroom and her closet. And you can imagine my surprise when I found on the top shelf of her closet 3 big piles of white retail boxes. In each one was tissue paper and a brand new blouse with the tag still on it. I had failed. I had failed to treat my grandmother, to pay her back. She didn't like my gifts. I sat on the edge of the bed and I fought back tears. I hardly knew how to take it. But over the years, I thought about that, and I thought, that wasn't about me at all. All those presents, Grandma buying all those presents, was probably that hurt little girl trying in some way to even the score. And maybe just maybe, no matter how much wealth she acquired and how much she bought, she could never convince herself that she deserved more than a thimble.
Great job, Janice. Thank you. So let's see. Who is next, Anne?
Let's see, the next teller is Mark.
Mark, come on up, Mark. Mark is he's one of the new tellers, right, Mark?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want the mic stand? What's your pleasure? Let's start with the mic stand? You can always take it out of the mic stand. Okay. I thought I worked out this mic stand earlier. Obviously did not. Okay.
So they say there's no place like home for the holidays. What a concept, right? I think home for myself is kind of a mystery. I'm always wondering where home is. So growing up in Hawaii, I was born to my 2 parents. Well, I guess we all were. It was us, my 3 siblings, so it made the 6 of us, and that was our home in Honolulu. The holiday times were kind of ordinary, I would say, in our house. Just, Christmas gifts, the tree, go to church. My parents had the Roman Catholic faith. And it was ordinary. When I thought back to past holiday memories, there was one exception that kind of popped in my mind above the rest. I'll circle back to that later, as it kind of relates. So we were enjoying these holiday gatherings for years, and it wasn't until high school when I talked to my other friends about what they're doing for the holidays, found out that, because I would ask them, hey, do you want to hang out after Christmas dinner? But no, we have our grandparents over, our aunts and uncles, our nieces and nephews, little kids running around, and then I began to feel a bit of envy, a bit of missing, something of a loss, something I didn't have growing up. So I didn't know what that was. I am a transplant. I'm not here from Oregon. And my parents are transplants also. So my mother is from Korea. 40 years ago, she left. This was before it was a prosperous nation. My father is from Detroit, and he spent his working years in the Merchant Marines until about 40 years ago. He ended up in Hawaii. He got kicked off of the ship after a dispute with the captain. So that's how he ended up there. It could have been headed to Siberia or something more challenging, but it was Hawaii. Good for him. Also, he doesn't know that I know that. My uncle told me that. It might be a family secret. This isn't recorded, is it?
It's recorded.
It's recorded, okay.
Nobody ever watches.
Don't send him the link if you know who he is. So, that was us. That's how I ended up living my childhood and high school years in Hawaii. Fast forward to, say, 10 years ago when my parents moved to Beaverton, and the holidays were not the same. First of all, it was no Maka weather over here. Right, Hawaii Christmas Day, yeah, not so much. But there was something else that made the holidays feel a little colder here. It was that, to me, when I would be living in California and flying up here, it was a city of strangers, not having grown up here, worked here, or anything. So it made the holidays, a little different, feeling kind of estranged. I also have family living here on my Korean side, and a lot of them don't speak much English. That also, created this other division in the family of language barriers. So, say that holidays were, a little rough, a little not so much of that Christmas holiday I dreamed of with the multi-generational grandparents and grandchildren. But that made me spend more holidays with friends over the years, not wanting to fly back up. It made it a little difficult not having that family gathering, but I grew at peace with it over the time, feeling more comfortable with not having one solid home, but being this transplant, moving around. And it gave me peace also knowing that that was not exactly a rare experience in this nation, where that's what we do with work, is that we move around so much in this nation. The one exception that I thought of in my memories, and I have memories of lots of Lego gifts as a child. Was my favorite toy. I had the space pirate castle in the town system, if anybody grew up with that. But it's not the toys, it's not the Christmas trees, it's not the stockings over the fireplace, which, I don't know, was a weird thing to be Hawaii also. Different. But this one memory I had of when my parents invited this elderly man over for Christmas. He was having dinner with us, and afterwards we gave him a chance to talk. And he didn't speak too much English. He didn't really enunciate much, but back then I didn't know what was going on. I was 12. I was thinking, okay, what the heck is this guy doing here in our house? Now I look back and really, it was kind of a Christmas gift that my family gave to him. I assume he came over because he didn't have his family there either back in Hawaii. He must have been on his own, I'm assuming this. And I think to myself that that's such a great gift that I can challenge myself to give to other people, is to invite over for Christmas people that may not have tons of family or any family. Maybe some people spend Christmas alone, and you never quite know who is going to spend Christmas alone with no plans of friends or family nearby, unless you go and find out. Thank you.
Mark. Those are words of wisdom I think we should probably all try and follow, so appreciate you sharing with us. Ann,
Yes, next
who's
tower.
next? Oh, before you say that, just so you know, Mark, I can edit you out. I can edit anyone out if they'd like. If someone were watching right now, I can't do anything about that. But if you don't want to be in the archived footage, just let me know, and it's not too difficult. I can cut you out. So.
Okay, our next teller is Vivian.
Vivian, come on, Vivian. I know you're out there. There you are. Vivian's told before. Oh, Vivian, I hear you were here at 3 Minute Thespians the other night.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
They increased by about threefold from the first time they did it.
Yeah, that gives me a chance to do one more quick plug. 3 Minute Thespians is a new program we have. One of our other librarians is doing it, and it gives you a chance to get up on stage with another person. You can bring somebody, or I think they just assign people. I think it's group acting. I haven't been to one yet. And you get a script in your hand and you perform it. So if you don't feel too comfortable getting up here and just talking without something to look at, that might be your cup of tea. So there'll be one. I'm not sure when the next one is. I think it might be January or February, so keep an eye out for that. Vivian, welcome. Shall I put the mic back in the stand? Okay.
I wander. As long as I don't wander.
Okay,
It is November right now, and 31 years ago, I had just returned to Rome City, Indiana. A couple weeks ago, for some reason, I was mentioning this to my daughter, and she went off on this thing about how could they have you do that? That was horrible. You could die. And I'm just, really? I don't think so. What had happened was, and this is right before Haley's Comet came. I hitchhiked from Fort Wayne, Indiana, to Roswell, New Mexico, where I stayed at a house, and then we went and hitchhiked from Roswell all the way to Tenney, New Mexico. And there, we were in a survival training thing and rock climbing for about 14 days. And then we got to hitchhike home, all the way to Rome City, which is out in nowhere. Anyway, the thing is, I was in a cult. That's it. I was in a cult. But it was a training program for people with families. And my youngest daughter and I had entered in residence training like the 1st of September, like going to Hogwarts. What can I say? And I had all sorts of problems. I mean, we lost our luggage, going there. The bank did not understand that when I changed my address, the money that I wanted them to send to me, I wanted them to send where I was. They were sending it to my old place, and I was having no money. It was just crazy things, and my daughter had started 1st grade, and they called me up and they go, "We really think we want to put her back in kindergarten." So I was so happy to go rock climbing in New Mexico. And I learned about the things that God would do for me, which was the fact that I was hitchhiking with a married couple. And when we got to Amarillo, we needed to get to, of course, Roswell. And we set out hitchhiking, and we get picked up by this truck, and it's already got another couple from the same group there, 5 of us together. And they're only going part way, so they let us out. And we, of course, go. No one's going to pick up 5 people to go to Roswell. Well, you know what? There were 5 rides, and they picked up all 5 of us. And so I came back with a much changed attitude. So of course, November, we're starting looking at Christmas, and I'm still in a no money situation. So one of the things that was available was to have our pictures taken so that we could send to people who were sponsoring us and our family and all of that. And Cindy, who was the wife in the couple I was hitchhiking with, looked at my clothes and she goes, "You need a new dress." She took me to the store and we found this blue dress. And there were 2 that were the same, except one was a bigger size, but it had like a thing on it, so it would be a little cheaper. And she asked, "Well, which one do you want?" And I learned something really important at that point, because, you know, I had always been, you know, gotta go for the cheapest, and you can figure it out. And I went, "No, I will take the smaller size, even though it costs more." And so she bought this dress for me. Not only was it the perfect dress, got me through all sorts of things in my training, but people could borrow this dress. So when they were singing in a Sunday night service or having their picture taken, they could do it. This picture managed to actually do something amazing. It made my mother, who, because I was someplace other than living next to her, did not show up for either of my daughter's births, travel across the country all the way to Indiana to see us. Anyway, the other thing that happened this Christmas was my daughter wanted a new dress. And we got a JCPenney catalog, because I've been working for JCPenney's when I was living in Mississippi. And she sees this dress and she goes, "I want this dress." And I look at the price and I go, "It's too expensive. We can't afford it." And we get a flyer. It's on sale. And I look at it and I go, okay, it's only coming in a size bigger, so it's going to be a little loose, and I don't know if it'll be here in time for your holiday party. But I can order it. So we ordered it. It come in, but we still had no transportation. And I go, okay, I'm going to put a note at the front desk. If anybody goes into town, they can pick it up. She now was in kindergarten, and so she was taking a nap in the afternoon. She woke up the afternoon of her holiday party, and hanging at the end of her bed was that dress. She went to the holiday party, and she felt like a princess. And actually, the dress lasted long enough until when we graduated, she wore that dress going across the stage. As for the adults, my job while I was in training was working in the kitchen, and we put everything together so that people who came in to take care of us while we had our holiday party had everything in order. So it wasn't like I had a whole lot of time to get ready, but I went to the holiday party and I felt wonderful. And these people who I'd only known for a couple of months felt closer to me than my family. And we had a gift exchange. And what I got for my gift from the only single man in my class was a box of chocolates. And it was the most wonderful gift because I had nothing to give to anybody until he gave that to me. And I opened the box, walked around the room, and I handed out candy until I got to the very last one. Ate it. And he goes, "Who didn't like the gift? It was the best gift ever." And I took an attitude at that point that if you give and you give from your heart, things will happen. And so, yeah, I still was trying to come together with tuition. So I was one of the people who at Hogwarts stayed while everybody else went home to their families. I volunteered for every job that I could. I helped people, I was cheerful, and people in my core helped me get my tuition paid. And then by the end of January, I had funds to cover the rest of my tuition the entire time I was there. So the moral of the story is that if you give and have a good attitude, things will work out. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. What goes around comes around, that's right, thank you. Okay, how are we doing on time, man? I think, so we have to wrap up at 8:30, I think we're still okay, so.
Yeah.
Who is next?
The next teller is Jackie.
Jackie, come on up. Jackie's told many times here,
A few.
KG veteran. Do you want to stand, Jackie, or do you want to?
I'll stand.
Okay, I'll give you mine.
I don't do that. I'm a little wild with the hands.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm coming through. In 1990, I left Minnesota and moved to California. I'd always dreamed of living in California or along some ocean where I could hear the waves anytime I wanted to. I could go down and walk on the beach. So I moved to California and I knew one family. I stayed with them the first 6 months I lived there, and about a year later they moved to Southern California. I was living in the Monterey area. And when they left, of course I had to find a new place to live because I was living with them. So I moved actually to Pacific Grove, and I was 3 blocks from the ocean, or from Monterey Bay, and I got a good job. The only thing I didn't have was a lot of friends. So Thanksgiving time came around. And when you think of Thanksgiving, at least always when I think of Thanksgiving, I think of large groups of people, a feast, the end-all feast, football, which I hate. So that particular year, I thought, what am I going to do for Thanksgiving? I couldn't afford to go anyplace, fly back to the Midwest. My family was scattered anyway. So I decided that I was going to prove that a single person, by themselves, could find something to be thankful for and to have a good Thanksgiving. So I set out to do exactly that. I had a good job, and one of my coworkers said, well, why don't you rent a video player? Now, this is early 1990s. Not everybody had a VCR in their home. So I had to rent one from the video store. Yes, they had video stores still then. So I went to the video store, and I rented a VCR. They had to show me how to use it. I had absolutely no clue. And I rented 2 movies. The first movie that I rented was called Babette's Feast. Obviously, a few people here have seen this. It turned out to be the best movie I could have rented for Thanksgiving because it was all about a feast. And the second one was, it was a chick flick. One of my favorites, Crossing Delancey. So I had that all set up, so I figured, when nightfall came, I could watch that when, it was dark out and I could no place to go. I mean, Monterey's a small town, and they do roll up the sidewalks at night. So I proceeded to plan a meal. And I wanted to have a traditional Thanksgiving meal, so I bought a half a turkey. Now, I should back up just a little bit and tell you about where I lived. I lived in a converted garage. It was a studio apartment made out of a double garage. Needless to say, not a lot of space. I have a small range, apartment size. And the unique thing about where I lived was if you came to visit me, and you're the guest, of course, so you got the sofa, which opened up into a double bed. But you had to make breakfast because you didn't have to get out of bed to make breakfast. All you had to do was just reach over a little bit and pull the orange juice out of the refrigerator, get the eggs, put the pan on the stove. It was perfect. So, Thanksgiving morning, I woke up bright and early. It was a gorgeous day. The sun was shining. I'm going to tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody. But the best time to go to Monterey and San Francisco is November. The fog goes away, the skies are clear, it's gorgeous. And it was a beautiful day that day. So the first thing I did, of course, is I called all my friends and family back east to say Happy Thanksgiving. That taken care of, I've got dinner going. And I decided, well, you know, I'm not gonna just sit in my little, cozy little studio all day long. I think I'll walk over to the bay. 3 blocks up and over the dune. Took my breakfast with me, piece of fruit and a bottle of water. And I headed out to the bay. And I sat on my favorite rock, and I had my fruit, and I drank my water. And the best company I could have asked for was there. There was a family of sea otters playing amongst the kelp, because there was a kelp bed right there. So the sea otters and I had breakfast together. And then I figured pretty soon, you know, maybe I better go check on dinner. So I went back, and the turkey was doing well, and you know, I managed to get everything else put together. And I had myself the perfect Thanksgiving feast. A few people who I hadn't been able to get a hold of got a hold of me later in the day, and we chit-chatted. And then I sat down and I watched Babette's feast. And I have to tell you, for somebody who was actually starting to dread the holidays that year, that was probably the most memorable Thanksgiving I've ever had. How many people can actually say that they spent Thanksgiving, even a part of it, with sea otters? Thank you. And don't feel sorry for people who are alone on Thanksgiving, because sometimes they like it.
Thank you, Jackie. Great job. California, that's a crazy place. I was just down there too. Who's next, Dan?
Yusuf.
Yusuf. Yusuf is our youngest alum. He told last time, did a great job. I think you're going to have to hold the mic. Okay. Here you go.
So, I'm going to tell a story from the perspective of a 9-year-old, aka me 2 years ago. And it was 2014, the day of Thanksgiving. So before I will proceed, I think you guys should all know a little bit about me. First of all, I was a 9-year-old. Please do not call me 9-year-old, even though I'm short. So every year, my family or one of my friends around my family has a Thanksgiving party. So this particular year, my family was hosting a party for Thanksgiving. And about every single one of my friends and some other people were coming to my house for Thanksgiving. So I was super excited because I never got to see this many people at my house on a regular occasion. So it was Thursday, November 27th. Of course, school was off. I would be really disappointed if it wasn't. And I woke up pretty late, so I do my normal routine until about 12 o'clock. And my dad pulls out this turkey, and he's just like, we're gonna cook this thing. I'm just like, all right, I don't know how you cook a turkey, but let's do this. So we cook the turkey, and it takes about 5 hours. And finally, the magic number 7:30 comes on when guests can start entering our house. So at 7:30 sharp, this one of my mom's friends, she comes in. I've never seen her, so I don't really know what to do. I just sit there while she talks with my mom. And I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting for this huge list my mom listed off of my friends. So just as about I'm gonna go complain to my mom, there's the ding dong bell. So I run over to the door, and it is one of my friends. So I'm really relieved that I don't have to hear my mom's friend talk anymore. So this friend was one of my friends for, I'd say, about 3 years at that point. So we go upstairs, have some fun, and before we even know it, all the friends are here. So we decided to go to the most amazing part of Thanksgiving, turkey, the one we cooked. So we go downstairs, we take some turkey, we come back upstairs. Pretty normal. We all eat, and it is so good. I never know cooking a turkey could be so delicious. So I go downstairs, and just as I'm about to get more, I hear these really loud screams from upstairs. I don't think turkey could have anything to do with screaming. So I quickly get my food, I go up, and I'm just trying to hear as much as I can through the door. And if a door's closed and people are screaming, there's not much you can get what's going on, especially on Thanksgiving. So I quietly open the door, I go in, I hope without anyone noticing, but guess what? Everyone is right in front of the door. So they see me walk in, and they all jump aside so I can see what's going on. And apparently, someone started a food fight, which is not good on Thanksgiving. You're supposed to be thankful, not fightful. So I got really mad. I mean, this was one special occasion, and they just ruined it with the turkey I cooked. So I go downstairs, call my mom and dad, but they're too busy serving the turkey. So I have to wait a really long time, and by that time, another food fight starts up, and I'm in the middle. I'm the target, and turkey is the dart. So everyone's throwing turkey at me, and just as I think I'm about to punch someone in the face, my mom comes. And I'm really relieved because everyone's scared of my mom when she's mad. So then everyone just goes outside. My mom doesn't even need to say a word. So the turkey is cleaned after what takes like forever, and I become really depressed because this one special thankful occasion has been ruined by the thing that makes it special. Thank you.
Thank you. I love having you come. I hope you keep coming back because you always give a kid's perspective, which is very refreshing. So yeah, that's fun. And who do we have next?
Oh, that's a blank one. Dave.
Dave. Dave. Are you here, Dave?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Come on up, David.
I'll take the stand.
Okay. Hopefully it's high enough for you.
In 1944, we were living in Denver, Colorado. I was 9, but within spitting distance of 10, and World War II was still raging. Everybody across the country, even the kids, were doing their part to support our fighting men overseas. And at that time, rationing, almost everything, was the law of the land. People were saving their newspapers, they were flattening their tin cans, and every week, me and 2 of my best buddies, Johnny Limke and Gilbert Valdez, would take our wagons out, go door to door in the neighborhood, gather all those newspapers up and the tin cans, and haul them up to a Conoco service station where they had a big collection bin that for all kinds of scrap metal and paper. And they even had a sign on the front of it that said, Kilroy was here. Now, Young ones, if you don't know what that is, Google it. For fun, at that time, what we did, we were either riding our bikes back and gone, or swimming, trading comic books, climbing trees, playing baseball, you name it. And occasionally, we were all hunkered down in what everybody called a family vacant lot. But to us, that vacant lot was Guadalcanal, Bataan, New Georgia, Midway, or 100 other places, all depending basically on the movie we'd last seen at the Saturday matinee. But I remember one hot summer July, our vacant lot was Wake Island, and we were young fighting United States Marines. We always played Marines because Gilbert's 19-year-old brother was a real one, and he'd already fought at Guadalcanal, New Georgia, Tarawa, and a bunch of other islands that I didn't ever hear of before. Earlier on, right out of boot camp, he came home on leave before they sent him overseas. And I got to tell you, when he put on his dress uniform, I took us three guys down to the fountain at Shea's drugstore and bought him milkshakes. We were so proud. He was so cool, and he was really our hero. But I digress. Back to our Wake Island. It was being invaded by the Empire of Japan. Gilbert raised up and peered out at the invading army. Me, I was carrying a Browning automatic rifle, which looked a lot like a broom handle. And Gilbert said, "They're coming in on the right." Our right or their right? Their right. "They're coming in," Johnny said, and began to fire his gun. Time out. Now, we had rules to the way we played war. If you said bam bam or dow dow or bang bang for the sound of rifles, you were not even invited to play. Time out. Gilbert and I joined the battle. Grenade! Johnny just grabbed it right out of the air and tossed it back. Killed 42 of them, right there. They kept coming. They were coming faster. "We can't hold them. Gotta try it. Fall back, fall back." We turned and ran to the back of the island. Dodging, zigzagging, trying to dodge the bullets that were flying around our head. We dive over the steep bank that runs down to the ocean, which was really the lot behind which was really the alley behind the Johnson's house. Down there, we creep up to the edge of the bank and peek over. There's zillions of them. "It's a bonsai charge, here they come!" And we all stand and fire. Kill 500 of them. Johnny gets hit. He gets hit again. He gets hit once more, and boom! Down he goes. Time out. Rule number 2. Even if your best friend gets killed, there is no crime. Time out. "Oh, he's dead. He's dead, that's for sure." Gilbert went berserk. Fighting. He was so angry. "Grenade! Too late!" And Gilbert falls dead next to Johnny. Now I'm really mad. I put my gun on full automatic. I kill 1,004 of them. Oh, and I get hit. I fire again. 447 more. Then I get hit again. I fall dead across my 2 pals. They're lying there. The sounds of war silenced. Da, 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 da. It's me, humming taps. Da, da. You see, rule number 3, the last person to die always gets to hum taps. Da, da, da. Mom! It's my mother's voice coming from about a block away. Dinner time! I'm coming! Well, we get up and I grab my wheels at the bottom of the bank there. We make out plans for another battle the next day. And I jump on my bike, ride home for dinner. And Gilbert calls out to me, tomorrow, I get to die last. And that's the way we played war in our vacant lot in Denver, Colorado. 2 weeks later, Gilbert's brother was killed in action on the island of Guam. They buried him there, but they held a memorial service for him in Denver. An honor guard of 7 men fired a 21-gun salute. And while they gave his parents a folded-up American flag, off in the distance, a lone bugler played taps. I began to cry. I cried because Gilbert and his parents were crying. And I cried because I knew that his brother, their son, would never get up, jump on his bike, and ride home to dinner.
Thank you, David. Great job. So I have a confession to make in full disclosure. David, you said a preview of one of the contestants who's going to.
Unless someone
Oh, so does anyone, this often happens. People sit in the audience and then all of a sudden they decide they want to give it a go. Is anyone out there thinking about it? Ah, yes, you told last time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I brought the mic over to you last time, correct? Is that, or did you go up here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you want to just come on up, I've got enough cord to reach it over there. And I'm sorry, sir, what's your name again? I forgot your name.
Jim Hayes.
Jim Hayes.
Several of these stories just triggered memories. I don't know if this is going to be an anecdote or a story.
Hey, that's how it works sometimes. So stories are great triggers. Here you go, sir.
Lights are a little bright. Turn them down.
Yeah, so you were there.
I'm terrible at remembering names, and I apologize to some of the early storytellers, but the first storyteller, whatever her name was, mentioned, let's see, was she the one that mentioned? No, never mind, it doesn't matter. There was a mention of Missoula, and that triggered a memory. I was born in 1940. My father was a milkman. Now back then, a milkman worked practically 7 days a week. And he didn't like that, and neither did my mother. So he joined the Border Patrol. And he joined the Border Patrol primarily because they got 30 days of paid vacation every year. And that was a big difference. So, that was 1940. And he was stationed to begin with down along the Mexican border, and therefore my mother and myself and my sister were alone in Seattle. And then along came the war, which started. And shortly thereafter, my father was transferred to Missoula because there was an internment camp there for Italian merchant seamen. And, well, my mother, myself, my sister were left behind in Seattle. And after my father got settled in, found a place to live, he told us to come on over. And so we did. We took the train, of course, from Seattle to Missoula, got off the train, and I didn't recognize my father. Who he, sort of thing. But at age 2, I recognized our car. And that really was about the story. We went, the people, the Italian seamen who were interned there were not really locked up or anything. They'd go out every day and work in the fields, pick fruit, things like that, and then dinner time they'd come back. I mean, if you're a war prisoner in Missoula, where are you gonna go to get away? And then there's just one more short thing to say about moving from Minnesota to California. And I can empathize with that a little bit because I moved from Minnesota, but I moved to God's country here in Oregon. And that was a lot of years ago. But I never want to go back to Minnesota other than for a quick visit. I left Minnesota because I couldn't stand the weather. Really, really cold in the winter, really, really hot and humid in the summer. And here I am, still in God's country. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you doing that at the last minute. Okay, so anyone else out there? Oh, aha, the one who wasn't gonna tell.
No, I wasn't going to, but.
Yep.
Everybody
Great, come on up. What's your name?
Jackie.
Jackie. Oh, there's another Jackie.
I
Okay.
do.
All right. Come on up. Are you okay with holding the mic, or would you like the mic stand?
Sure, I can hold the mic. That's
Okay.
fine. Whew, squeaking a little bit.
Oh, that's all right.
My name's Jackie, and this is the first time I've done one of these, so we'll see how it goes. When I was about 19, I found out that I was pregnant with my boyfriend, who we hadn't been together quite long enough to have that conversation. So it was a little bit of a shock, but a good one at the same time. And so we got married, and we went on our honeymoon. And we went to beautiful, beautiful Newport, Oregon. And we fell in love with the place, and randomly ended up deciding to move there. And so, being young and naive, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go find a job there. So we go down one weekend, and we go and look at all the different places, and I'm walking along the bayfront, and I'm looking at, the wolf lions and the sea lions and all of those type of things, and smelling the air. I think somebody else said earlier about breathing in that fresh ocean air that's just kind of calling in some ways. And hearing the ocean, and walked in to a place, to one of the attractions, and ended up getting a job. And it was this stroke of luck that we happened to honeymoon there and went, oh, this is the place we're gonna live forever. And after that happened, I was along the lines of being about, I think, 7 months pregnant. And I get a call while I'm at work, sitting in a booth, because by that time they had figured out that I was pregnant. In fact, I got pulled in at one point, and they were like, my boss was rather outspoken, and she looked at me and she's like, look different. Your boobs look bigger. Are you pregnant? And I was like, okay, yes, I have to actually admit that at this point. And so I'm sitting in this ticket booth, and I get this call from one of my neighbors. And they're frantic, and they say, oh my gosh, you need to get home now. Your house is on fire. And at this time, I don't know, if somebody is hurt, if, my husband is there. So I drive down there, and luckily nobody was hurt. But unfortunately, we had been moving at the time, so some of our stuff was saved, but all of our clothes had not been moved. So at the time, I was wearing my work shirt, which was this kind of awful, like neon green with like khakis and, not sure where to turn. And I remember sitting there when they finally let us in, looking at these beautiful lace curtains that I'd always loved when we moved into this house. They were gorgeous, and they framed the outside of kind of the view that we had. Like out by, we could see the ocean. If we did this on our tiptoes, we could see the ocean from our house, which was amazing. The ocean view that we had. And there were lace curtains, and they were melted and black. And I remember just sitting there and just melting myself. And thinking about bringing this child into the world and bringing it into a place that had just become so burnt in my eyes. And I walked outside, and I had a neighbor, and they gave me clothes, even though they had very little at the time. And I had, for some reason, I can't remember where I put my shoes, but at the time I had no shoes on, and they gave me slippers so that I could wear those slippers. And I looked down, and they were, in my mind, they were probably the most hideous things I could imagine. They're pink and those fluffy, and I felt like a weird version of Elmo walking around with them. But at the time, they were literally the most beautiful pair of shoes that I could imagine, because there are these people that I didn't really know. In fact, I didn't actually know any of them, because it's hard to know your neighbors anymore. Often you don't get to because everybody's so busy. And everybody came out in droves. And with food, and the Salvation Army ended up giving me vouchers to be able to do that, to be able to go get new pots and pans. And I don't have a moral ending or anything that I thought through when I started this story, but I guess I just want to end with the thought of, even when you feel like your life is burnt down, there are still a lot of people that will help lift you up. Thank you.
That was a great job, Jackie.
Thank you.
And yeah, that is the moral. And it's great that I think this is kind of one of those times where we all feel like we need to come together. Anyone else out there? All right, I don't know if people are weary, but I have a short story if you want. Otherwise, we can call it a night. Yeah, okay. This is, my sister was going to come tonight, but I probably could have got her to tell the story, but she couldn't make it, and but she probably would have insisted. Had she been here, she would have sat in the audience and heckled me until I told the story. So I'll just tell it. And I haven't rehearsed it or anything, so it might be a bit tangential. So I'm one of 4 children, 2 brothers and a sister, and we have a fairly large family, and every family has kind of one of those sort of eccentric aunts or uncles or something like that. And ours is Aunt Diane, and I'm hoping Aunt Diane is 93. She's in an assisted living home, and she's really good on the computer. I hope she is not going to see this. I may have to edit myself out. I don't think she will. But Aunt Diane is very flamboyant and very outspoken about things, and it's really reflected in her the way she dresses and her jewelry and things like that. And she likes to give things away. And this was probably, I don't know, maybe 20, well, it's been a while, 20 or 30 years ago. She gave my sister a necklace that was made out of seeds, and it was something you would probably find in Africa. It was like a tribal necklace. It was very large and very garish, and not something you would probably ever wear unless you were out on the savannah somewhere. And she really thought my sister would like it, and it was, I hate to say it, but it was pretty hideous. You really had to, my Aunt Diane could rock that necklace, but it wasn't for everybody. So anyway, this happened around the holidays. I think it happened at Christmas, and somehow the tradition developed, I don't even remember how quickly it happened, that it would be smuggled into someone else's gifts or car or something. It was pass the necklace, get rid of the necklace. And every year it became more and more of a challenge, and there was all sorts of places it would wind up. One year it showed up inside the Christmas tree that was, in somebody's house. I can't remember now who. I think it was us who got stuck with it. All the families got married and had kids. So this necklace would turn up, and then, we only get together at the holidays, so maybe once or twice a year, and everybody would be extremely paranoid and worried about who's got the necklace, where are they gonna, where's it gonna turn up? And my sister is probably the most paranoid of all, but she was probably also the best at getting rid of the necklace. And one year it wound up, it came home in a turkey carcass, inside the carcass. Inside a plastic bag, inside the carcass. I think my brother, who is a great cook, he wanted to go home and make soup stock. Well, he took that turkey carcass home, and she had to call them. That was part of the fun too, because you would wait. How long would it take for the person to find the necklace? And sometimes there would be months would go by, and you would find it. And but she had to call him up and say, "Don't boil that carcass until you look inside the body cavity." Sure enough, there was a necklace in a hygienic plastic bag. So anyway, over the years, this necklace gradually began to fall apart, and the beads would come off, and it would get smaller and actually easier to conceal. And it went through. We all have kids now, and the kids got involved, and my brother lives up in Washington, so it's all it was a great game. And of course, she would oftentimes come to these events, so it had to be done without her knowing. So the covert factor was also part. And so it just was this great tradition. And anyway, last year, I can't remember, I guess we knew she had the necklace, but we do a white elephant every year. And she had gone to Target, and bought these two hideous things. One's a light up Christmas tree, just absolutely ugly, and something else. And she got everyone else involved, even my mother was involved in it. And she took this thing apart, and she put the necklace inside and put it back together, and she arranged it so one of my kids got this, and we were suspicious, but we thought, there's no way the necklace is in there. And so we took it home, and sure enough, she called up and, did you find it? No. And, well, you have to look, and we took it apart, and it was inside this thing. So we got, but by then it was only just a few bits of necklace left, and so there wasn't much to go in there. So we got stuck with it. And then I guess it was, oftentimes this could take place a couple times over the same holiday. It might go somewhere on Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, come back and go with somebody else. And so it finally went home with my nephew last year. And he was totally oblivious to the fact it went smuggled into the trunk of their car or something. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I told you to rehearse this. There was something prior to that. The necklace was down to just a few seeds, just almost nothing left. And my aunt, who's in this assisted living facility, had called me a while ago and said, you know, she's getting rid of things. I need you to come take things, get rid of them. And I go down to visit her to, you know, get some pictures and jewelry and things like that. And she pulls out from her jewelry thing a brand new necklace, the exact same thing. It's different colors. She probably bought it at the same time, never been used, brand new virgin necklace. And that's what went home with my nephew last Christmas. So, and Diane, thank you so much. Okay, sorry, I had to tell that story because it was just too apropos. I couldn't believe it. So anyone else out there? Okay, so now we come to the reward ceremony here. We have a random drawing out of the people who have told. Anne has added Jim's name and Jackie's name.
Yeah.
But usually we have a nonpartisan person draw it in. So you, so you have to go out to the crowd to draw it in.
Person.
And the drawing is for, this time it's for a gift certificate to the book corner right across the street over there. Yusuf! Yusuf, you need to go buy a lottery ticket. Yusuf won it last time, so maybe the fix is it, I don't know. Congratulations, Yusuf. Okay, well, I want to, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, poor Yusuf. Last time I had to email him the Powell's certificate because I had to do that. This time, go over to the book corner, and they have lots of good stuff over there. So. Well, I want to thank you all for coming, and I hope everyone had a good time. I hope you can all come in January. I believe it's the 12th. And we have, I think the theme is going to be beginnings. So if you think you have a story you want to work on or think about, let me know. And don't forget about all the stuff we have out in the hallway out there. And I hope to see you all for the festival in April. It's a really good show. And if you're going to come, just a little secret, if you're going to come to the Story Slam here on April 1st, we really should have an April Fool's thing. We talked about having a liar's contest, but I want it to be true stories, so there's no theme. It's bring your best story. But this place does get full. We didn't have to turn anyone away last year, but we had, I think, about 185, and this place seats 150. So
it's really fun.
It's a lot of fun,
yeah.
And it's going to be a good show. You'll be able to see David again. He's going to tell again, and he's been on the Moth, which is a pretty big storytelling network all over the country, and he's also been on PDX, Backfence PDX, which is a great. If you want to go hear more live storytelling, they're in Portland. They do shows. There's a little fee for it. It's not too expensive. It's a lot of fun. There's a really good time. So I would really highly recommend going to see one of those shows. The Moth also does local shows here too. So just get on your computer and look up storytelling in Portland. You'll find lots to go do. The great thing about our festival is it doesn't cost anything. All the events are free. We spend all year planning it. We put a lot of work into it, and it's always. We tell all over the county, the tellers go all over, so it's always really a lot of fun, so I hope you get a chance to check it out. And then I also just want to I think we all need to give the tellers a big round of applause for how good they did. And also, thank you audience members for coming to listen. It's not really storytelling if nobody's out there to hear your story, so we really appreciate those of you who come and hear the story, so please keep coming back. Fill out a form out there, put your email down if you want to get on the list, and we'll let you know when the next one is. So, thanks for coming. Yes, Jackie.
Can I do a plug for the Portland Storytellers Guild?
Yes.
Okay. The Portland Storytellers Guild is a nonprofit organization, and we have performances the first Saturday of every month at the Hippo Theater over on 18th and East Burnside. In addition to that, the second Friday of every month, we have a potluck story swap, and people are invited to come. You can come and tell a story, you can come and just listen. You don't have to bring food, but if you want to, you can. It's a very relaxed environment. And it's really a great way to be introduced to more storytelling in a very, like I said, relaxed environment. So I encourage people, it's Portland Storytellers Guild, you can go online and find it.
Yes, please do. I meant to mention that too, Jackie, and those events are free as well, right? The swamps and
The
everything?
Story Swap potluck is free. The gift phone, you can buy tickets in advance and get them very inexpensively. As a matter of fact, this year for the first time they have, it's a little late now because it's already gone a few months, but they had an annual pass that broke down to being like $5 a ticket
Oh, that's
for the
great.
whole year. I mean, it was very inexpensive.
Yeah,
Maybe it was $8, but.
The Storytellers Guild is, I should have mentioned them, I'm remiss in doing that. They're a great organization. They help sponsor our part of the Story Festival. They're one of our sponsors. Many of the tellers who are members of the Guild have been local tellers here at the festival. So it's a really great resource. You can go on their website and see all the different tellers, and many of them are professionals and can be hired for events and things like that. But yeah, they're a great organization. So thanks for bringing that up, Jackie. All right, well, hope to see you all in January. Everybody have a good holiday.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.